Have you ever felt like you were being turned into a marionette or a string puppet by someone you know or love? Being manipulated or having manipulation tactics used against you is typical of psychological warfare, except the battlefield is your home, life, and day-to-day existence. While we all want to get what we want, gaslighters, narcissists, and sociopaths tend to take this to the extreme, consciously using manipulation tactics to get what they want, usually at your expense. Worse still, manipulators are good at it, and you may not realize you are being manipulated. But the signs are there if you open your eyes, become self-aware, and look at your interactions with manipulators through a discerning eye. Keep watching to learn about 18 manipulation tactics used by gaslighter, narcissists, and sociopaths. But first, what is manipulation? Manipulation is when someone uses deception and underhanded tactics to coerce others into doing what they want. Usually, the manipulated person wouldn't want to do what they are being forced to do. Still, the manipulator focuses on obtaining their goals, not dealing fairly with the person they abuse. Now let's review the 18 manipulation tactics used by gaslighters, narcissists, and sociopaths. 1. Love bombing. Love bombing is a fundamental tactic that these three personalities learn to use as a manipulation strategy to achieve their objectives. To use the love bomb tactic, the manipulator will find a way to use their victim's vanity against them. In a love bomb attack, the manipulator showers their victim with excessive profusions of love and expensive gifts or extreme displays of affection, which all make the victim feel indebted to their manipulator. They buy your love so you will trust them and do as they ask. Love bombing quickly turns into guilt tripping. 2. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping is the evil twin of love bombing, and this tactic is very useful to a manipulator who relies on your sense of moral justice, turning this against you. When you are made to feel like you are ungrateful for all the things someone has done for you, they gain power over you as your self-confidence takes a knock and you become vulnerable to outside manipulation. The narcissist, gaslighter, or sociopath may remind you of all they have done for you and follow this with an implied or articulated recrimination, making you feel like you're ungrateful. If you typically see yourself as a grateful person, you will experience stress and vulnerability when they make you see yourself as something you're not. 3. Psychological projection. Trying to discuss manipulation with the manipulator is like catching a slippery eel in your hands. They easily leave a slimy residue on you while slithering away unaffectedly. How do they do this? Through psychological projection. They subtly change the topic of the discussion so you feel like the bad person instead of seeing them as the bad guy. They cleverly deflect the real focus of the discussion by making it about you. By accusing you of something similar to what you have tried to point out, they cause doubt and insecurities, making you vulnerable to their manipulations. 4. Dodge, evade, and redirect. Removing the focus from themselves, the manipulator makes your discussion die quickly by saying you look emotional or are under stress. While you are doubting yourself because they so cleverly evaded the original comments, they easily paint themselves in a new light by feigning concern about you. 5. Making you the villain. If you decide to accuse your manipulator of being manipulative, they will seamlessly change the conversation so you appear to be the abuser instead. Whether they accuse you of abuse upfront or cleverly suggest it by projecting their tactics onto you, they achieve their goal of unsettling you and making you vulnerable. 6. Smearing your name. A classic manipulation tactic is to pretend that people are talking about you and that they are the ones who know what's being said. Meanwhile, they are the ones spreading lies and misinformation about you. Ultimately, you end up going to them for information and kicking people out of your life when it's the manipulator who has been orchestrating the whole smear campaign. 7. But I'm the victim. We all want to cheer on the underdog, protect the victim, and encourage someone who is being bullied. However, these three manipulators' personalities easily make themselves out as the victim in any situation. If they lose their job and become financially dependent on you, it's because of a new boss, the lack of training, or because they had to take care of you while you were sick. It's never their fault. Because you see them as victims, you feel sorry for them and will do as they ask. 8. Isolate and dominate. Cutting off people who usually surround you is a sign that someone is trying to isolate and dominate you. By accusing other people in your life, the manipulator makes you doubt people and feel alone. The result is that you will easily become dominated because you stand alone. 9. You're the scapegoat game. Manipulators blame you for everything, making you into the scapegoat. With constant blame and negative comments, the manipulator becomes empowered as they wear down their victim's self-esteem. 10. They tend to control and coerce through lies. With lies, the manipulator causes doubt and uncertainty in their victim, creating fear and confusion. In a vulnerable state, the victim is open to further manipulation. Once the manipulator can convince you that you are forgetful or prone to not hearing, they can easily tell you lies and insist that these happened and are true. The end goal is to make you rely on the manipulator to remind you of things that will place doubt at the back of your mind. 11. Changing the finish line. These manipulators are adept at setting a goal and then moving that goal or changing the goal entirely. Their manipulations aim to keep you on the back foot at all times so they can enjoy power over you, making you desperate for their approval. 12. The silent sulk. Like a child that sulks, a manipulator may resort to this tactic until they get what they want from you. Instead of talking about issues like a mature adult, they keep quiet and sulk, letting their emotions speak for them. A silent sulk is aimed at making you feel guilty and convincing you that you're the one who did wrong. 13. Negative reinforcement. Negative and positive reinforcement are part of the conditioning methodology, and when a narcissist, gaslighter, or sociopath uses negative reinforcement, it's to get what they want. While it's normal for us to negotiate to get what we want, these three members of the dark triad don't just want what they want, they also want to ensure you don't get what you want. With negative reinforcement, they apply pressure until you do what they want, then remove it. 14. Snide remarks to push your buttons. When you try to stand up for yourself, the manipulators resort to this form of manipulation to upset you and get a rise out of you. Instead of listening to or hearing your side of the story, they voice clear assumptions that paint you as the bad guy. For them, the reward is your emotional reaction since they took away your ability to act. 15. Dismissiveness and withholding praise. It's natural to look to others for approval or validation, yet you will find none of this when you look at a manipulator. Their praise always has a sting in the tail, or they will praise others while withholding it from you. Some will offer to help you improve, suggesting they know better and can do better while placing you in a lower position of power in the relationship. 16. Stalking and possessiveness. Ever had someone pretend to love you, only to end up stalking you? These manipulators often do just that. They refuse to let you go anywhere without them, and if you do, they make you feel guilty. You are their new favorite toy, and they dislike sharing. Initially, they may hide behind concern for you, but soon, they will simply take it for granted that you are theirs and they own you. 17. Psychological blackmail. Using expressions of love, the manipulator convinces you they deserve to be loved and obeyed. They blackmail you, especially if they are in a position of power, such as being the earner at home, and threaten to withhold their support if you don't love them back. Psychological blackmail can be overt or covert, and they may come all out and threaten to stop helping you if you don't do as they want, or they may simply remind you of the things they do for you and what you don't do for them. 18. The savior tactic. A truly evil way of manipulation is when the manipulator rushes in to save you. By pretending to be the savior in any situation, they make their victim feel indebted to them. However, in hindsight, you may find they were the cause of the problem. They created the drama so they could rush in and save you, painting them as the eternal hero. Final thoughts on manipulation tactics. Manipulation tactics are devices used to coerce victims into sacrificing their individuality and free will for the sake of a controlling person who wants to take their partner's power away. It's important to learn how a lack of self-awareness influences manipulators to use manipulation tactics and dominate their relationships. Become self-aware to discover who is manipulating you and why, or help you stop if you are a manipulator. Have you been the victim of these manipulation tactics and more? If yes, did they use some of the tactics listed in this video?